Hello, Jess here from All the Sparkle, and I'm thrilled to be a stop on the hop for the December release from Simon Says Stamp. When I saw all the beautiful snowflake and wintry scene dies, I knew I wanted to play with creating alcohol ink backgrounds. I know traditionally in card making, alcohol inks are applied to paper using blending felts, but I've recently started following several alcohol ink artists on Instagram who create large-scale works on canvas using more of a squirt and spread method, which results in gorgeous designs. So I wanted to see if I could do something similar on a much smaller basis using drops of ink directly on the paper. I tried it first with a darker palette and wanted to do it again on video with a much brighter set of colors. So let's get started. First, I always prep my tools when working with alcohol inks because they're a bit messy and I like to be prepared for the inevitability of knocking over a bottle or squirting ink on my work surface. I place a 9x12 piece of Yupo paper onto a few folded paper towels on top of my Ranger craft mat. The paper towels are handy for catching excess drops of ink, and the craft mat protects my work surface. Then I lay out all of my alcohol inks in my blending solution and uncap them so they're ready to go. I'm using silver mixative as well, so I make sure to shake that up before I get started. Unfortunately, the camera angle didn't quite catch all of the inks I'm using, but I'll list the names in the YouTube description below. First, I drop a few inks on the paper. There's no order to the colors I choose or where I place them. It's a very organic kind of as it comes to me sort of process. Once I have a few drops of ink on the paper, I add a few drops of blending solution and then start to blow them around gently using the air puffer. This particular puffer is actually intended for cleaning camera lenses, but it works quite nicely for alcohol inks. Once I'm happy with one section, I add drops of ink to the next section and then a few drops of blending solution and then puff away. I continue to work across the page, going back and filling in holes as I go. I've sped up the process, but it took me about 10 minutes to cover the entire page. After I was done applying the alcohol inks, I set it aside to dry for a few minutes. Since there are areas where the ink sits a little heavier on the paper, it needs about 30 minutes to be totally dry to the touch. Once it's dry, I add splatters of white paint to resemble a snowy sky. I mixed Copic opaque white and a few drops of water on an acrylic block and then used a damp paintbrush to apply the splatters. I set the paper in a large scrap box and I simply tapped the paintbrush against the side of the box to apply the paint. Towards the end, I flicked the remaining paint onto the surface directly from the acrylic block. Once it was totally covered with splatters, I set it aside to dry for about an hour. Finally, I cut the panel apart to create a variety of cards. I primarily die-cut various snowflakes and scenes from white cardstock and then backed them with the alcohol ink backgrounds. I die-cut some of the snowflakes from the new white and silver glitter paper from Simon Says Stamp and adhered them over full panels of alcohol ink backgrounds. The various new dies from Simon Says Stamp's December release were perfect for creating lots of different looks. The alcohol ink background created 6 cards, and I have 3 leftover background pieces that I can use for cards later. I'm also sharing the 2 cards I created earlier this week using the darker panel, and you can really see the difference between the 2 palettes. This particular alcohol ink technique would create fantastic galaxy backgrounds or even underwater scenes. You could very easily switch up those snowflakes in the dark panel for a moon and stars and have the perfect galaxy card. So here's a closer look at some of the cards, and you can find more photos on my blog. Every stop on the hop is giving away a $25 gift certificate to Simon Says Stamp to celebrate December, so head to my blog for all the giveaway details. You can find links to all the products I used, including a list of the alcohol inks, in the YouTube description below or on my blog. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button so you won't miss any of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and happy crafting! Bye!